Task number 3, plaintext to ciphertext. Let's start with an illustration before introducing the key terms. We begin with the plaintext that we want to encrypt. Today we are at task number 3 in cryptography basics room, plaintext to ciphertext. Let's start with an illustration before introducing the key terms. We begin with the plaintext that we want to encrypt. The plaintext is the readable data. It can be anything from a simple hello, a cat photo, credit card information, or medical health records. From a cryptography perspective, there are all plaintext messages waiting to be encrypted. The plaintext is passed through the encryption function along with a proper key. The encryption function returns a ciphertext. The encryption function is part of the cipher. A cipher is an algorithm to convert a plaintext into a ciphertext and vice versa. So basically, plaintext is English, is what we understand, is just text that we understand. The encryption function is part of the cipher, right? And the cipher is an algorithm that converts our word in English to a ciphertext. Here we see the diagram. We see that we want to send data in plain text because it's much simpler and that's what we understand. It goes the encryption algo, the cipher algorithm has the key for the ciphertext. You use this key, this encrypted key, to encrypt the plaintext into cipher and decrypt the cipher into plaintext, right? To convert or decrypt or encrypt plaintext into cipher and vice versa. To recover the plaintext, we must pass the ciphertext along with the proper key via the decryption function, which would give us the original plaintext that is shown in the illustration below. Basically, here we see the same thing, but here we encrypt it and here we decrypt it, right? Here could be plaintext or cipher, it doesn't matter. We need this key in order to encrypt and decrypt it. We have just introduced several new terms and we need to learn them to understand any text about cryptography. The terms are listed below. So plaintext is the original readable message or data before it's encrypted. It can be a document, an image, a multimedia file, or any other binary data. Ciphertext is the scrambled, unreadable version of the message after encryption. Ideally, we cannot get any information about the original plaintext except its approximate size. Cipher is an algorithm or a method to convert plaintext into cipher and back again. A cipher is usually developed by a mathematician. So the cipher is the algorithm that converts our plaintext into ciphertext. Then what is encryption? Right? Because we always hear encryption. We don't hear that go use a cipher algorithm in order to encrypt your data. We always use that the data is encrypted and decrypted. So we'll get there. A key is a string of bits. The ciphers uses the encrypted or decrypted data. In general, the used cipher is public knowledge. However, the key must remain secret unless it's the public key in asymmetric encryption. We will visit asymmetric encryption in a later task, basically. So if it's symmetric encryption, we have a public key. If the recipient has that key, it can decrypt the message. Asymmetric, you as the sender, you have a private key, but the recipient has the public key. You need both of them to decrypt the message. Decryption is the reverse process of encryption. Oh, Encryption is the process of converting plain text into ciphertext using a cipher and a key. Unlike the key, the choice of the cipher is disclosed. So encryption basically is the whole process of converting our plaintext data into a cipher, but it uses a cipher algorithm and a key from the algo in order to encrypt the data. The decryption is the reverse process of encryption, converting ciphertext back into plaintext using a cipher and a key. Although the cipher would be public knowledge, recovering the plaintext without knowledge of the key should be impossible or infeasible. Answer the questions below. What do you call the encrypted plaintext? Encryption is the process of converting plaintext into ciphertext. What do you call the process that returns the plaintext? Decryption is the reverse process of encryption, converting ciphertext back into plaintext. So, decryption.